All right, so how are you?
I'm good. I am so excited to share all the different things that Hong Kong has invested in because I feel like the Filipinos are also missing Hong Kong. And it's true because all my friends keep asking me when is it going to open, and now it's finally open and we're here to promote it.
Yay! All right, so you just returned from Hong Kong, right? And I believe you had a chance to visit the West Kowloon Cultural District. So please tell us more.
Yeah, so okay, I've been, as like you guys, I've been going to Hong Kong ever since I was young. But I really didn't get to see the other side of there. And living in Hong Kong during the pandemic, I was able to explore. The Hong Kong Board of Tourism took me to the West Kowloon side because this is a development, as you saw earlier, that they took almost 20 years. They really invested in infrastructure and just building a beautiful space for people to come and enjoy the arts and culture. So as you can see, like there's a beautiful view, and you can walk in this park. You can go to the next slide. That's me. I visited, this is the M Plus Museum, and that's me with a curator. It was so special because my husband has been wanting us to go to the museum, but I'm just kind of like ignoring it. Because, you know, I prioritize other things like a Filipino, we want shopping, I want to eat. When I went on this tour, I can tell you, I was so engrossed, I didn't look at my phone because there were so many things that I learned that I didn't know I wanted to learn about, if that makes sense. I think that the M Plus Museum really is a show of visual arts and contemporary culture. And after I visited this space, I said, wow, I really needed that time to just appreciate art. And I kept thinking, like, why do we need to expose ourselves into this type of contemporary art? And it's a mix of getting to see, you know, other people's expression of themselves, obviously culture, and also really getting to know the contemporary Hong Kong. All of these modern artists had something to say, and it was set in a way that was, I guess there was digital media, there was a sculpture, it was so interactive, it was so mind-opening that I really encourage a lot of our tourists to come and just take the time, even just 3 hours in the museum. I think your kids would love it. I think they have something for everyone. Yeah, sorry, I'm talking too much.
You know, you're absolutely right, because, you know, we could always go shopping, eating, whatever, but sometimes it's always good to immerse ourselves in art, right?
I think it gives you something intangible that you can't directly, like, you know, when we buy something, it's like, okay, I have this back.
Right.
But when you go to an exhibit and an exhibition, it's a different kind of inspiration that really pokes at your creative side, and you see how people express themselves. And after I came from there, I'm like, I want to take up more pottery, and I want to do this because I was so inspired by how everything was curated. The curator said that they now are bringing in Yayoi Kusama, and it took them 4 years to close that deal.
Wow.
It's an international artist. It's going to be on for at least 2 years. They're renovating it. So I really see the investment they have in arts and culture, and I enjoy it so much.
And I'm sure visiting museums like this is really an experience, right? It's really an experience that you don't want to miss out.
So the Hong Kong government, what they did was they had a foresight into seeing that actually arts and culture plays a huge role in development, right?
Right.
So they created this M Plus Museum with international architects, and the architecture, the landscape, the qualitative materials they use, everything is a feast for the eyes. I don't know if I'm doing it justice, but I encourage Filipino tourists to come to the museums because it's something that I think is very different from the usual. Of course, we all love Disneyland and Legoland.
Yes,
we'll talk about that later. But this is something that's not highlighted, and Hong Kong has really spent on showcasing its culture. So here I am at the Hong Kong Palace Museum. And this is another museum that they also spent 7 years to build. See, I was really attentive because everything was so interesting. And all of these ornaments were preserved from China in the Forbidden City, which is where the emperor lived. And then, you have the first ever milk tea pot. And this is how they drank it. This is a silk thing that they have to store every 4 months because it's very precious. And this gives a big insight into Chinese culture. And I was like, how come the Chinese always have dragons everywhere? And then natawa yung curator. He was like, yeah, that's true. It's a mix of a snake and a tiger, and it's a very mythical creature that shows power. Because in all of their ornaments, there were dragons.
Right.
And elephants for good luck. So it was just so eye-opening because I didn't know that I wanted to know more about the culture and history of Hong Kong.
And if I'm not mistaken, you could also walk by the bay.
Yeah.
Near this place.
Yeah. So everything is walking distance, and then you have a beautiful. Oh, that's not yet. Everything is walking distance, and there are a lot of cute cafes and third wave coffee shops. I think right now this generation has also found a new appreciation for like coffee and when they do those pour over things. Hong Kong has a lot of great coffee shops that you would love. My husband loves going to them. He goes to a new one every other week. So yeah, in the West Kowloon district, there are a lot of like really cool, small, specialty coffee stores.
And I'm sure hanging out there would be really relaxing too, right?
A lot of people hang out there, and there is an area where they do like the jazz festival. Parang they created this multimedia space that you do different events every month.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty diverse and cool.
And it's something new for people who haven't been there, right? Okay, so I didn't know, again, honestly, like what Richard mentioned earlier, I didn't know that Hong Kong is also famous for its, trails and outdoor activities, because all I know would be the shopping and the eating, like Causeway Bay, Landmark, Times Square. Those are what I'm familiar with. But for you guys, which ones have you gone to, and which places are your favorites when it comes to the outdoor activities?
Okay, so like most Filipino tourists, when I go to Hong Kong, I always go to the same places like you mentioned, shopping, Causeway Bay. But when I moved there and I met locals, and my husband is a big outdoors guy, he would take us on a new trail every week. And so I love the Lantau Peak Trail. It's a bit harder. It's 3 hours to get to, and I did it when I was like pregnant with my second son.
Wow.
But it's so beautiful. And then when you land, there was like Buddha exhibits, and there are temples. And then if you want like very easy trails, I would say maybe the Peak. There's one Big Wave Bay, which is 30 minutes, and you land at the beach, and it's called Big Wave because there are a lot of waves there, and there's a really good restaurant to eat. The fish and chips is delicious. I'm so familiar because I was living in Hong Kong for 2 years, and we did this every weekend. Camshaft Park is a park where you can take your kids, and there are hundreds of monkeys, and it's a very easy walk, and it's just a nature walk, and there are monkeys all over. Of course, you're not supposed to feed them, otherwise, they're all gonna rush to you.
Right.
But if you just walk, they won't bother you. And that is great for the kids. And if you just wanted to be outside and breathe fresh air, Camshaft Park is amazing. Tai Tam Reservoir, it showed a while ago. It's by the dam, and it's in the shaded area, so it's very cool. I really suggest people explore this place, especially after the pandemic. We kind of want to be outdoors and really experience that nature side. So that's what we did for fun in Hong Kong, and we still do that.
And how about you? Have you tried?
Yeah,
all these trails?
Growing up in fact in school, we were kind of like semi-required to do all these stuff. Like there will be like a couple of days where, hey, we're gonna go on a trip to do all these trails. And I remember we actually had a competition, one of the sports day or something, where we would run through the trail. Like there was a race, and we would run through from one end. I think from the Peak Trail, we start from the Peak Trail all the way to Big Wave Bay, which is the end of it, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it's like 20 kilometers. We called it the Rainbow Trek back then in our school, and we would literally race, and whoever wins, gets, I don't know, like bragging rights or something. That's pretty much it. But those were amazing. And then of course there's the Dragon Back Trail that goes up and down. It sounds hard, but when you do it, it's not that hard, especially during winter. Like, and I strongly suggest my friends who go to Hong Kong to always check out all these trails during winter. Don't do it during summer. I mean, you're just gonna kill yourself for being that hot. But like during winter and during spring, those are the best times.
But the weather is really nice. Yes, no.
No, I was just going to say that I think what's very unique about Hong Kong is that aside from it's such a cosmopolitan city, you can take 15 minutes and you can be in Shekou Beach and it's like beautiful, right? And then you can take another 15 minutes going up near the peak and you can do a trail that's very accessible, it's free. I think my kids definitely enjoy nature so much more because we live in Hong Kong and we have the access, which a lot of Filipino tourists don't know that this is something that people actually enjoy or the kids will enjoy, which is basically going outdoors. And yeah, most of all, it's free and it's fun.
Can I also just add the fact that I think a lot of Filipinos have this misconception that Hong Kong is small. Hong Kong is honestly not that small. It's only small because you're just at the Camshaft Park area, Causeway.
Right. That's where we always are.
That's it. But then there's so much more to explore
It's
that
so
people
true.
don't know. Like in terms of landmass, I mean, I'm being a geek here, but like in terms of statistics, like the mass of Manila, I mean, the land area is actually half of Hong Kong. Hong Kong actually is double the size of Metro Manila, and that's because we have all these amazing trails,
Right.
all these amazing like concrete. I know, not the jungle area, or you want to call it, but we're not just the concrete jungle.
Yeah, I agree. So these are photos of me. So one day my son didn't have school because it was a public holiday. My husband said, okay, let's go somewhere. And we rented a small boat that doesn't cost too much. And I learned wake surfing. Can you imagine? We took a 25-minute taxi ride and we just did wake surfing for 4 to 5 hours. It's affordable. It's a new sport that we tried. It was fun. My son naman, he was kind of swimming in the ocean. We were invited on a boat and we went to this area. It's called Millionaire's Bay. It's white sand. It's really pristine. But I guess a lot of people also don't know is that Hong Kong makes everything so accessible. They have a lot of transport. They have ferries. You can go. We went to this island called Llama Island. If you Google it, it's an island where they don't allow cars, and they have like third wave coffee shops and vegan restaurants, and it's really like cool and indie. A lot of expats live there, but nobody really knows about them. So we really took the time to explore all these places. We also went to like obviously Sai Kung. We went to Lower Camshaft Beach. There's a lot of Filipinos there, so it really also feels like home when you see it. You know, kababayan, and they'll always help you out. Yeah.
You know, how come I don't know any of these places,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, we are always here in Hong Kong, right? From time to time, especially pre-pandemic. Now, I have a quick question for everyone. Have you guys ever heard about these places that we have just mentioned? Show of hands. Oh, yes, you do.
There's one person.
Oh, we have more. All right. So they
Not even the
are.
Hong Kong people. they're like,
So they are the minority who know about all these stuff we're talking about right now. Okay. So of course, to the rest of us, I really hope we all get a chance to visit these places.